The pressure sensor gives an output voltage which is related to atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure is in turn related to altitude. So if we can get the Arduino to give us a voltage reading from the pressure sensor, we should be able to work out the altitude of the CanSat. This is the circuit to build for the pressure sensor, and it's relatively simple. This is the pressure sensor, 6 pins. The important thing is to know which pin is which. If you look carefully, you'll see one of them has a notch in the leg, and that's pin 1. So pin 1 is a notch, pin beside it is 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So I'm going to pop this into the breadboard this way around, not this way, because we don't want the legs to be connected to each other. So I'll pop it in there like that. Now I'm going to take 5 volts from the Arduino. So that goes into the 5 volt pin, onto the 5 volt rail. We'll take ground from the Arduino, one of the ground pins, onto this blue or 0 volt rail. Then pin 3 of the pressure sensor has to be connected to 5 volts. So that would be 1, 2, 3. That pin there gets connected up here to the 5 volt rail. So now we have 5 volts coming from the Arduino along under that track, the red wire into pin 3. Pin 2 of the pressure sensor. So I'm connecting this in on the same row as pin 2. Connects to ground or 0 volts. So that connection is there along that track and back to 0 volts or ground here. And then lastly, pin 1 here is where the pressure sensor voltage that we actually want to measure is coming from. And I'm going to connect that in to pin A1 or analog input 1 of the Arduino. Now I ensure that my cable is connected to the PC, so we'll be ready to upload our program and then run it. Now I'm going to enter the pressure sensor program as in the CanSat manual. So I'm going to go back to the Arduino IDE and we'll open a new file. So we'll go File, New, and I'll start keying in the program as in the manual. So like the temperature program, this program sends data serially. So in setup, the first line here sets up serial communications. The first line in loop reads the voltage from pin A1 of the Arduino. Next line converts that pressure reading into millibars. Again, you'll need to do some research to understand exactly how this works. The next 2 lines transmit the letters inside the inverted commas, just these words. While in the line serial.print pressure, that transmits the numeric value of pressure that was calculated up higher, up here. At the end, there's a little delay of 500 milliseconds before the loop repeats and the next sample value is read from pin A1. Okay, so to watch this program running, well, first we better upload it to our Arduino. So you can see at the bottom here is compiling sketch, uploading, and done uploading. Now if I open the serial window, we can see our readings coming in. So that's from our pressure sensor. Now the last thing I'd like to show you is the radio modules. These are used so that you can disconnect your CanSat from the computer, send it up into the sky and have it send data back to your laptop. The modules we use are the APC220 radio transmit modules. There are 2 of them and they're identical. Both radios can transmit and receive data. We will use one to transmit data from the CanSat and the other to receive data at the computer or laptop. They're static sensitive, so when you're handling them, it's probably a good idea to try and hold them by the edge and not get your fingers on the pins or on the components. We also have antennae that connect on, just screw on like that. So one of these goes in the CanSat. Now when it's in the CanSat, we'll actually replace this rigid antenna with a thread antenna. There's details of how you build one of those in the manual. On the receiving end at the laptop, this little module connects into this adapter which allows us to connect into the USB port of your computer. And again, we'll just pop the little antenna on like this. And we can put it up like that, and that inserts into the USB port. So this is in the CAN, this is in the laptop, and they communicate between each other. Now, I'm going to use the radio transmit and receive modules with the pressure sensor program to transmit data back to the computer. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this little module, and we need to identify which is pin 1. So if you look at the back of the board, you'll see the pins are labelled. Pin 1 is the one also called ground, GND. So it's this pin. It's the one on the same side as the antenna connector. I'm going to pop it into our breadboard, again ensuring that all the pins are on different rows like that. And then I'm going to wire it up according to the wiring diagram that's in the manual. Then we'll connect ground, which is pin 1 over here, to our 0 volt track. So pin 1 is now connected back through these to the 0 volts of the Arduino. Pins 2 and 6 should be connected together. So there's pin 2, and I'm going to connect to pin 6, so 3, 4, 5, 6. And they then need to be connected to 5 volts over here. Okay, so now we have 5 volts coming here, connected to pin 6 and to pin 2. And lastly, pin 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, needs to be connected into the transmit pin of the Arduino, which is pin 1 or TX over here. Okay. Now that circuit should be ready to send the serial data. Instead of down the cable, it's going to send it through the antenna of the transmit module. Right, so now we have built the pressure sensor. Our pressure program is loaded here. Our radio module is connected up. So I'm going to disconnect this cable. The program is stored in the Arduino, but we do need to provide power. So I'm going to come in with my battery and connect it into a ground pin. I'll have to go over this side for a ground pin this time. And to the V in pin here. So that's our voltage in. Okay, so that module now should be transmitting our data, our serial data, our samples of pressure via that antenna. I'm going to remove the other cable from the laptop, and I'm going to replace it with our little receive module. That goes in there. And now if we look at our screen, we should be able to see our data coming in. On the receiving end, if you have any problems with the radio link, you need to make sure that the radio driver has been installed on the computer. Details on how to do this are in the manual. If you select Tools Serial Port on the IDE after physically connecting the receive module, you'll see that a new port may have appeared. Okay, so you'll have to select that as well to make sure that it's connected up. This is the port that the data transmitted from the Arduino will be received on. When there are several CanSats operating in close proximity, for example during group sessions and on CanSat competition day, assigning different operating frequencies to different CanSats will facilitate data collection. Without this option, all ground stations will be receiving data from all CanSats. Nearer to competition day, each school will be assigned their unique frequency. The manual explains how to change the operating frequency of your radio modules.